Hello and welcome to another episode of Raw Chatter. I am your host, Vicky Midwood speaking, and today I am solo, no guest. I am going to be talking about something that cropped up a couple of times last week and has cropped up actually many times before that. But it seems to be something that I'm hearing more and more often. Now I am around people and a member of a gym. You do tend to hear conversations that are going on in the changing rooms, and sometimes when people are just having a chat either before class or afterwards. And there seems to be this belief that if a food is healthy, and I'm doing that, healthy, in inverted commas, you can eat as much of it as you like. In other words, if it's good for you, just keep on eating it. And this is something that I think needs addressing, needs clearing up, because it's part of the reason for a lot of people why they are not getting the results that they feel they should be getting due to all of the hard work that they're putting in to take care of their bodies, especially if you are a regular gym goer or a regular home exerciser. And maybe you're getting a bit confused as to why are you not getting the results that you expected in perhaps the time frame that you thought you would. Now, for those of you who are new to me, first of all, welcome. I am an integrative health, nutrition and lifestyle coach. And I have been involved in the world of health and wellness and teaching exercise and helping people to understand how their body works for the last 32 years. So over that time, I have chosen to help people mainly who have issues around body image, who have problems with their relationship with food, and just understanding how they can create the body that they feel happy in, but also be able to eat without guilt and without shame. So that is what I do. I also help people who have a dependence on alcohol, because often when we use food, we also use alcohol as well. And when I say use, I mean it in the way that we tend to turn to it when we want to numb out, when we want to reward ourselves, when we want to feel comforted in some way, or when we just want to cheer ourselves up. Maybe we do have associations, very powerful associations with certain foods. And perhaps you also think that you are addicted to specific foods. And the truth is you probably are. Okay, and that's something that I want a lot of you to take on board. The food industry has made foods, packaged foods, processed foods, to be on purpose addictive. Now, for those of you who've not heard me share that before, this is nothing new that I'm sharing with you. Most of the big boys in the food industry used to be big players in the tobacco industry. So there's no surprise that they are excellent at the psychology of marketing things that are not exactly good for us, because it makes them an awful lot of money. They want you to become repeat customers. And therefore, if they produce food that is on purpose, chemically manufactured to be addictive, to hit what they call your bliss spot, so that once you open a packet, you've got to eat it all. Once you've finished a box, you go back to the supermarket and buy exactly the same product over and over again. They do that on purpose because you are going to be one of their best customers and they don't want to lose you. So they will keep on creating more and more of these products so that you will keep on being addicted, and then potentially they will pass you on to their friends in the slimming industry, who will then sell you other products that will help you to get rid of the fat that you have gained from eating their products. And guess what? The majority of the food industry people are also big players in the slimming and weight loss industry. So it's all interwoven, they are all interlinked, and you, unfortunately, are the, if you like, the lab rat in the middle. You are the experimental tool, and they have hit on a recipe that works. They make you addicted, and you literally bounce between eating normally or eating eating diet foods or taking slimming products or whatever else, and you lose the weight, and then guess what? You go back again. If that's a familiar story, I get it. Right? This is exactly what I help people to understand and to overcome. It's not your fault. The food industry has been designed to make it so. But what I want you to understand is, over and above everything, that more isn't better of any food. So just because it's healthy and it's good for you, whether it's a packaged processed food, and the majority of them are not good for you, but there are some that are less bad, shall we say, than others, or whether it's a natural food, it doesn't really matter. You cannot just keep on eating it regardless. And the reason is, and I'm not going to talk calories here, but that is one of the reasons. And I will talk about energy, right? And just to help those of you, again, who may be new to listening to me, energy is just a measurement by which we help people to understand what they are getting from specific food groups. And when we talk calories, that's a measurement. Just like when we're talking about electricity, you talk about watts. Watts are a measurement of electricity. So if you buy a 25 watt bulb, you kind of have an idea of what you're getting in comparison to, say, a 100 watt bulb. Well, when we talk about calories, it's a little bit like that. Some foods have not very many calories in a certain portion, not a lot of energy. And some foods have a lot in a portion. And this is where the problem lies for certain healthy foods, because natural foods, foods that have not been processed, foods that have not been mucked about with, foods that are exactly as they were when they were pulled out of the ground or picked off the tree, those are the foods that I'm talking about. And even though those foods have all of the nutrients and the fiber and the vitamins and the phytochemicals and all of the stuff that your body loves and needs to function, overloading it and giving it more than it needs is never going to be a good plan. For the simple reason that your body can only handle so much of the same nutrients in one sitting. Think of it this way. If you've ever had a headache and you've decided that you're going to take a painkiller, if you look at the back of the package, the recommended dose tends to be 2 tablets. And it says that you should space them out if you need to. And don't take any more for at least another 4 to 6 hours, depending on the dosage and the tablet itself. Yeah. Now, you are unlikely, I hope you're unlikely, to go, okay, so what I'll do then is I'll take 3 times the amount that it says, and that way I'll get more of the stuff and it'll get rid of my headache faster. We don't do that, because actually that's not going to work, right? It's probably going to cause you some serious stomach problems and create pain as opposed to get rid of it. Think of you overloading on certain foods in a similar kind of way. It's probably going to create problems, cause gut issues, and overload your system. And if your body can't break down those nutrients and utilize them that it's getting all in one go, it's got one option pretty much, and that's to put that stuff into storage somewhere. And it's either going to go into storage underneath your skin in what we call subcutaneous fat, or it's going to go around the middle of your body, around your tummy area, around your organs, in what we call visceral fat. Now, either which way, we don't want to be storing excess fat, no matter where it's coming from, whether it's coming from us overeating more of the healthy foods, or whether it's coming from you overeating a load of processed foods, which are what we call energy dense. In other words, you don't have to eat very many of them to have consumed a lot of energy. And ultimately, your energy intake does count. And I'm not a fan of counting calories, counting energy, because it's how your body utilizes that energy and actually where it's coming from and whether your body can break it down well or not that is important That being said, if you overeat consistently and take on more energy than you are using over time, you will end up getting more fat on your body. And so you got to remember that fat is there for a reason. Okay, it's a safety reason, number one. Fat stores toxins that could potentially be poisonous to your body. And so fat is not an inert substance that just sits there for no reason doing nothing. Okay, fat also is metabolically active, not massively, but it is. But it also releases hormones into your system too. And the more fat that we have, the more it changes our body's ability to produce the hormone that tells you you've had enough to eat. It's a hormone called leptin, which is your full up signal. And what tends to happen is the more fat we have stored on our body, the less efficient and effective our leptin signaling tends to be. Okay, which means it's much more easy to overeat on foods. And so having an idea of just what a portion looks like, especially if you are somebody who in the past has struggled with an eating disorder or disordered eating, and they are not the same thing, but an eating disorder, particularly something like bulimia or anorexia, where you have basically overridden the hunger signals, which come from a hormone called ghrelin. And you've also, particularly when it comes to bulimia, you have overridden the full up signals because you carried on eating. Those hormones, when you keep on consistently not listening to them, they will downregulate. And what that means is they are not going to function like they did. And for many people, one of the last things that, if you like, comes back online after struggling and recovering from an eating disorder is those hormones actually working correctly. And the only way, or the best and the simplest way, should I say, of getting those hormones back online is to start eating at regular intervals. But we've got to recognize that you probably will struggle to know when you're hungry and when you've had enough, which is why having an idea of just what a portion of nutrients looks like is important. And I emphasize the word nutrients on purpose, because when we look at how many grams of, say, protein a portion contains, that's going to give us an idea of what is going to be suitable for us, for our body. And we're all going to be different. It will depend on size. It will depend on body type. It will depend on, obviously, your sex. It will depend on your activity level, not your busyness level, as so many people confuse being busy with being active. When I'm talking about active, I'm talking how much are you moving your body in a day, not how busy are you sitting behind your desk at a computer. They're not the same thing. So all of those things will come into play, but getting an idea of just what your body needs in terms of nutrients is a good place to start so that you can start to work out what is a good sized portion for you. And here's the thing. You want to feel satisfied, but you don't want to feel stuffed. Now, this is where if you're leptin resistant, then leptin resistant means that you're just not picking up those full up signals. It is more difficult to know whether you've had enough or not. And so the more slowly you can eat, the better. Taking around about 20 minutes to eat a meal is a good plan. And I know that sounds like a heck of a long time if you are somebody who wolfs down a meal in sort of 5 or 6 minutes. But by taking a longer time, you give your body more chance for the stomach to send the message to the brain that you have had enough and it's okay to stop. And the easiest way to slow down when you're eating is to be fully mindful on what is on your plate, is to chew your food thoroughly. Nobody should be swallowing chunks of food that they can feel going down their throat, right? Your food should be liquid before you swallow. And I know for many people that is definitely not the case. You also want to make sure that you put your knife and fork down on your plate so that you're not loading up ready with the next mouthful while you're still chewing. It's an easy, quick way, quick hack, if you like, of slowing you right down. If you're eating something with your hands and you're not using a knife and fork, then put whatever it is down on a plate. And don't pick it up. So don't hold it in your hand and chew and have it right near your face ready for the next bite. Put it down so that you actually then have to pick it up again to take the next bite, and you're doing it mindfully. The other thing to ask yourself is, just because it's healthy, do I like it? Because I know so many people who I work with who talk to me about having certain foods because they're healthy. Yet when I ask them, do you actually like those foods? They kind of look at me like I've got two heads. Am I meant to like it? Yes, you absolutely are. Food is there to be enjoyed. Food is not just nourishment in terms of nutrient values. It's nourishment in terms of enjoyment, in terms of satisfaction. Do you like the flavors? Do you like the texture in your mouth? Are you enjoying the sensation of eating this food? Because if you're not, don't eat it. Just because it's healthy doesn't mean you have to eat it. You eat the foods that you enjoy. And that is what I'm going to leave you with, folks. Food is nourishment. Food is meant to be enjoyed. Overeating on food, whether it's healthy or not, is not nourishing your body anymore. It's actually causing it to do more work, and it's overloading it. Means that it has to work harder then to just get back to normality. So try and tune in if you can and really get clear on just what is a portion for your body. As a general rule of thumb, I recommend that for women who are active and who are weight training and who want to maintain their muscle, especially over the age of 40, then you do want to be consuming 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Now, that may sound like an awful lot to some of you. And if you're nowhere near that, don't worry, but try and build up, for the simple reason that if you eat your protein first and then your veggies, you will be much more satisfied on a smaller amount of food and less likely to overload your system with the much, much, much easier to eat, higher fat foods that have a lot of energy and a lot of nutrients, but you can keep on eating them because they don't fill you up in the same way. So I hope that that has been both informative and helpful. And if you do have any questions or you feel just confused about what do I mean by a healthy food and what do I mean by a pre-packaged food, then please do check out the links below and it will send you to some little videos that I've done on this stuff. In the meantime, if you've enjoyed this, please do give me a like. If you haven't already subscribed, please do, so you don't miss the next episode. And if it has been helpful to you and you think it might be helpful to somebody else, please do pass it on, share it with them so that we can start to help people get more educated and less confused about how to nourish their body for health and to create the body, the shape, and the relationship with food that they truly want. Just remember, we only have one life and one body as far as we know. Look after it because it's trying so hard to look after you. Take care.